From athletes to authors, entertainers to innovators, we connect with those who help shape our culture. Join us in revealing stories of their lives and backgrounds, their triumphs and tragedies that molded them into who they are today. Authentically off-script and personally illuminating, this is Audibles with Jason Scarborough. This week on Audibles, Ann Claiborne.
So we began your story in Clarksdale, Mississippi, but your mom worked at Whitfield State Hospital, so you spent 11 years there in your childhood, eventually came to where we sit now in Brandon. So how would you describe growing up?
Growing up in the South, especially in a small town like Brandon in the 80s, was something that I really didn't appreciate until I got outside. So when I lived here, it seemed very stifling, but now I see the beauty in it. What a beautiful experience to be able to run the streets of Crossgates, and out in the country without constant supervision and cell phones. And so I think it was a beautiful childhood, honestly.
You're the youngest of how many kids?
6, youngest of 6.
God bless your mom.
Right.
So how would you describe your siblings and your relationship with them growing up?
We're spread out quite a bit. So
Yeah.
My oldest was 9 years older than me, and so it was very spread out. We got to know each other as adults in a way that we didn't know as kids. Now, my sister that's closest in age to me, Andrea, she's only 3 years older, and we're thick as thieves. She's my hide the body girl.
Everybody needs one of those.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
How would you describe yourself as a child?
Hell on wheels. God bless my parents and my siblings. So I was diagnosed with ADHD, very hyperactive, a lot to handle. I'm a big thinker, even as a child I was, and so I think I kept them on their toes, truly.
What were your interests when you were growing up? Everybody has interests when they're a kid. I want to be that one day, or I want to do this, but what were your interests as a child?
So I grew up in a dance studio, and so dance was my whole life. And I didn't play any sports, so dance was my sport. I just knew that I wanted to do something big. I felt like I was meant for something big, and I just had to figure out what it was.
I know a little bit of the answer to this question because we actually went to high school together for those watching. If someone watching, if they were to meet Ann Claiborne in high school, who would they meet?
I will say in high school I was probably extremely insecure. Didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Didn't know who I was or really what I wanted to be. And I kept trying to be what everybody else wanted me to be. And it made me unhappy. It wasn't until I figured out that I don't have to please other people, I have to please myself first. And that helped me to build confidence and start to really blossom into a woman that I valued.
What were your goals, ambitions, dreams, if you will, coming out of Brandon High School?
I just wanted to get out.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of high school. I wanted to get out of Brandon. I wanted to go see what the world had to offer. I knew that I didn't necessarily belong here. Even though I loved growing up in the South, I just knew that I didn't belong here. So.
And I've heard you say in other places, your mom was a dietitian, but I've heard you say that wasn't really the field that you really wanted to pursue, at least growing up. But why is that?
It was boring. That just seemed like the most boring job ever. But it was something that, because I was exposed to it so much, I just naturally knew more about nutrition than the average person. I mean, I remember growing up thinking how mistreated I was because everyone else had Doritos and Twinkies and, snackables and stuff in their lunch boxes, and we had tuna fish sandwich and carrot sticks. And I remember thinking my mom must have hated us, and now I'm so thankful because it has led me to live a much healthier lifestyle.
If Mom's watching, good job, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Way to go. So you found yourself with the Army eventually, part of the 101st Airborne Division, if I have that right?
So technically I was assigned to the 10th Combat Support Hospital.
Okay.
And we were deployed in support of 101st Airborne.
How would you describe that experience?
Traumatic. It was a lot. So I came straight out of nursing school. I went into the Army to go to nursing school because I wanted them to pay for it. And as soon as I graduated, I was deployed in 5 days. Showed up to my first duty station, went and picked up my gear, got on a C-130 and, or on a big plane, headed out. And so I didn't actually know how to be a soldier. I had been in nursing school the whole time. So I had to figure out how to be a soldier in the desert. And it was full-on conflict, rolled up to Mosul, Iraq, at the end of an airfield. So I had to figure out who I was very quickly. The beauty of all that was it really taught me what I was made of. Because I got there and I saw these other grown men in high positions, respectable manly men come back with 1,000-yard stare. And I just said, I'm not going to let that be me. And so what do I need to do to protect myself? I said, well, I'm going to control what I can control. And that's when I just started working out a lot. Because it was the one thing I could control was my little bit of free time was I would go work out. Stress relief.
You did that for 10 years? Is that right?
Yeah. I was an Army nurse for 10 years.
That's a long time to do that.
It was, but so I came back from deployment in 2004, and then when I came back, I got a phone call. They needed a nutritionist for the World Class Athlete Program, which is the Army's equivalent of the Olympic Training Center. And they said they would send me back to school to become a nutritionist. It may be non-deployable. That's all they needed to say. I said, sign me up. And that's really how I got into the nutrition game. And so then my first dealings with nutrition was working with Olympic athletes. What a blessing.
How often do you look back at that moment and go, wow, that was the moment that a lot of things started to be put in motion? How often do you reflect on that moment?
Probably not as much as I should.
Really?
But I am so thankful. As much as I say I would never volunteer to go into the Army again, I'm so proud that I did it, but it really taught me a lot about myself and provided a lot of great opportunities for me.
So I want to go inside the early days and weeks of creating this concept that it's now become such a huge success for you, and those early days are so important. So when you're planning and you're creating something, it starts to add up to days, weeks, months. How would you describe your process of building this business? When you look back to those early days, how would you describe your process and really the approach to getting it kick-started?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had a skill set. It was something that I just was naturally good at and passionate about. And they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I just love doing it, and I love connecting with people, and I think I'm really good at helping people get out of their own way. So sometimes it's a lot less about food and a lot more about getting to the core of what makes somebody and help them to love themselves enough to make these changes. And then when it comes to professional athletes, it's no different. It's just you're fine-tuning things. So my process was just trial and error.
It sounds like a lot of times you're kind of a psychologist, psychiatrist, or something to that effect, maybe?
Yeah, it's like a bartender, like a trainer, like, nutritionist. I was great at being a nutritionist. What I didn't know anything about was how to be a businesswoman. I wasn't raised by business owners. And I grew up in Brandon in a time where we didn't teach women about business. At least I didn't. Wasn't taught about business that way. And I think most of the women my age that knew a lot about business were because their parents were business owners. So I had to learn a lot on my own, and was fortunate enough to get some really great business mentors from the very beginning. And I'm not afraid to ask a question. So I ask a lot of questions. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm still making mistakes daily, but learning from it along the way. And I think the most important thing that I learned is I have to fail. I had to give myself permission to fail. I have a tendency to be somewhat of a perfectionist, and I had to really pull back on that so that I could succeed.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
The internet can be a dangerous place. With Connect and Protect from C Spire, you get the phone you want, and you get the tools to easily track her location, restrict content, and help protect her at any age. It's like a digital mom arm.
A what?
That thing moms do.
I'm not following.
How do I put this? Look out!
Oh, mom arm. Got it, yeah.
Introducing Connect and Protect from C Spire. Only $30 a month with free guided setup. Customer inspired. That's C Spire.
The fabric of any community is its people. It's the commitment to hard work and to be our best. It's where you know your neighbor by name. It's where family is important. At Covington County Hospital, we are your family and friends. That's why your healthcare is important to us. From emergency room visits to primary care to behavioral health, we want to make sure that healthcare is available when you need it. Covington County Hospital, where your healthcare matters.
Our farm's amber waves of grain become your tasty creations in the kitchen. From a bushel of wheat comes the flour you need to enjoy the breads, cakes, cereals, and pastas we all love so much. And even if you aren't a world-renowned chef, wheat grown in Mississippi is used in many of the foods you buy on the grocery store shelves. Wheat, just one of the many commodities a Mississippi farmer grows for you. The Farm Families of Mississippi.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
The first business out of this trial and error was Mission Nutrition.
Yeah.
So take me back to what were the goals that you had for Mission Nutrition starting out?
So Mission Nutrition was just working with like small local people. I wasn't charging a lot. And clients would come to me that were very successful and go, you are really good at this and you should be charging way more for the amount of work that you're doing. And so that was my first lead into like, oh, maybe I am really great at this. And so then COVID hit and nutritionists were a luxury item that nobody needed anymore because we all thought we were gonna die. So we were drinking wine and eating pasta every night and watching Tiger King, right? And so I really had to transition. I said, well, I can reinvent myself or I can go down sinking. And so I started working with professional athletes. I had someone that linked me with one professional athlete, and then the word got out, and it's history. I mean, I love doing it. I love helping people, no matter who they are. Working with professional athletes is a lot of fun, though.
I gotta just say this at this point. I mean, there's still so much to cover, but the call that you get to work with the Olympic athletes within the Army there in that program. So you get that call. And then now you're talking about getting this call that linked you with that first professional athlete, and then you're off and running again. I mean, you have to think at some point, man, this is it. Everything's clicking along at this point. You know, first with the Olympic program, everything's moving along for you at this point. For me, looking at your story, it just seems like things continue. I don't want to say fall in your lap because you work your tail off. I know that. But things are falling in place like they should. It's amazing to look at it from that vantage point. Do you ever look at it that way?
No, because I see all the hustle that went into it. Right? I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong in between each step.
Sure.
I think that the best lesson that I was ever taught, and one thing that I do well, is I just don't stop. You know? And so as those things happen, I think that we kind of create our own destiny, our own luck in the hard work that you put in. So if you continue to work extremely hard, then when opportunities present themselves, then you can capitalize on it. Because there are definitely some opportunities I've missed because I wasn't prepared.
Huh. I was trying to give you a compliment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'll
was
take
really
it.
trying to compliment
I'll take it,
you.
but I guess I just don't want anyone to think that it comes easy because you have to
No.
work really hard.
No, I think if anyone, for those that follow you and know your story, they know how hard you work. You know, and you've talked about the business really starting to boom. You talked about COVID. I'm always curious to ask people this, no matter who it is, what lessons did you learn from navigating through the pandemic and still you're able to run a successful business that is still successful as we speak, even more so. So what lessons did you learn from how to navigate through that?
During COVID was really like just the beginning of my business. And so I was taking any and all business. So I got to work with lots of different types of clientele. And that helped me to fine tune, like, okay, where's my niche, right? I hate to say this, but like sometimes I still miss the days of COVID, of the isolation and the like little less stress. I think it gave me room to fail without so many eyes on me, if that makes any sense, right? But in the beginning of business, there was less pressure because it was new. So once you get to a certain, once you start accomplishing certain things, then there's an expectation, some self-imposed, but also you feel like others have a certain expectation. So, and the money gets bigger, so failures are more expensive and more eyes on you. So I think in the beginning it was very easy to fail and so very easy to succeed.
You've become a victim of your own standard in some ways. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Quite possibly, but it's because I always want more. I want to be able to help more people. And if ever business starts getting tough or draining on me, I remind myself why I do it, what is my why, and how much I love helping people. And I always go back to that, and it helps me to be okay with if I fail at something.
Do you think, you said earlier about you just won't stop, you just won't stop.
That was the thing I used to get in the most trouble for because I was so hard-headed, but now it serves me well.
Yeah, it's paid off pretty well for you. I mean, do you think that's why successful people like you, do you think that's why you are so successful? Because you're constantly raising your own bar, your own expectations. Do you think that's, so the whole victim of your own success, you're constantly raising the bar, so that's why you don't stop. So it's this yin and yang. Does it make sense? Do you kind of see it that way?
It does. I mean, I know that I occasionally suffer with imposter syndrome, but so do even my business mentors. And so I think that when I feel that way, there are some days where I'm like, they're going to figure out I don't really know everything that and it makes you go a little bit harder because I want to be better at it. And so I think that's what keeps me going. But I also refuse to stop because I refuse to fail. I do have a son that's watching me, and I want to show him, hard work pays off, and we just have to keep going.
So the framework of customized concierge nutrition, I love that name, by the way.
Thanks.
The framework was really created during COVID for customized, I'm gonna call it CCN. I love the acronym.
So much easier.
Yeah. The framework was created during COVID. So take me back to what were some of the early steps you put in place to now push this new venture and to dive in with this new venture that we now know as CCN?
So I found that a lot of my clients, as soon as COVID started to wind down, they travel a lot. And the hardest part about keeping track with nutrition is when we get outside of our normal routine. And so I started putting in a lot of white glove type things where when they travel, we stay one step ahead of them and we're doing their nutrition. When they get to a hotel, their food is already there. Their meals are planned. I have pulled the snack bar for those that struggle with a little mini snack bar in the room. It's no longer there. There's some protein bars in its place, right? Just little things like that, and helping them make dining out decisions. those types of it was based off of the needs of my clients. Where are you failing? Where's your biggest challenge? Okay, what can I do to help that person overcome those obstacles? Whether they're self-imposed obstacles or real obstacles, like with the travel and that kind of stuff. So that's just, it really came to fruition after just meeting people's needs. So how can I best help this client stay on track?
So for our viewers that might not be fully familiar with CCN, say they get on an elevator with you and they say, all right, so what services do you guys provide? What would the elevator speech be?
Gosh, I'm not great at that, but we are total nutrition. So everything health and nutrition related, we cover it all. So the first thing we do is we start out with everyone with a medical exam. You know, I'm a nurse, so everything has a medical background, so medical questionnaire. We're looking at blood work, we're looking at DEXA scan results, because I need to get to the root of all of your health issues. And then we figure out what obstacles are in your path, what your schedule is like and all that stuff. And then we build a plan that fits into your lifestyle, because we can write the world's best plan, but if you're traveling all the time, or if it's not foods that you want to eat, or whatever your obstacles are, then it's really not worth the paper it's written on. So we do all that. We plug in chefs or meal prep companies so that the food is just there, right? What we're trying to do, the whole goal, Jason, is to make nutrition something that you don't have to think about, because I need my clients to be focused on what they do really well, which is go make money, right? I need an athlete to focus on performing, not what his next meal is. I need for my CEO to not have to worry about where is he going to get his next lunch from, or is this healthy, or is this what I'm supposed to be eating. Just focus on business. We're going to have it right there for you.
So can anybody be a client? Does it have to be a professional? So
No.
you help the average, I don't like saying average Joe, I'm going to say average Jason. Can I get away with that?
Yes.
So you help the average Jason or the professional athlete. It doesn't matter. So you guys can help anybody.
Absolutely. The only difference is most of us are super busy, right? It's where is that time being spent? Are you losing time watching Netflix, or are you truly in meetings, right? And so that's really, it's how the time is spent. But most of us lead super busy lives, and so it's just helping people get through the obstacles. How I got into working with high-level CEOs from professional athletes is that I realized that it's the same mentality. It's the win at all cost. They're very driven, their time is limited, and they care about their health. They understand the importance in investing in their health, but they just don't have the time to get it done.
We need to take her on the road with us,
Yes.
don't we? For sure. we could utilize your services.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
It has often been said that home is where the heart is. It's where hard-working and dedicated people form the fabric of a thriving community. At Covington County Hospital, it's our priority to help keep our community safe, healthy, and moving. With our primary care clinics and services, we are working to keep you healthy, because home is where the heart is. Home is where family matters. Covington County Hospital, where your health care matters.
C Spire's Viber makes it so easy to make music on my computer. I was on Discord in real time, and it was like that. It's like that. It was exactly like being in the studio. From just the tap of the button, I can just transfer files or send over projects, send over anything. It's just something I don't need to worry about. I'm just like, I have the creative side, and C Spire has got the whole internet side.
Between the blue sky and green grass, there's a Mississippi cattleman making sure the food you need is on your local grocery store shelves. Whether it's a big juicy steak or hamburgers for your backyard cookout, our food starts right here. Because for these cattlemen, it's not just a job, it's caring for the animals that make up our nation's food supply. Just one of the many commodities a Mississippi farmer grows for you, the farm families of Mississippi.
In building a successful business or organization, for anyone, there's that moment where I call it finding your inner CEO. So for you, you go back to earlier talking about you had to learn how to run a business. You're learning on the fly. I mean, really, it's just trial and error, as you said. Can you reflect on a moment where you look back and it was kind of an aha moment and you say, that's where I found my inner CEO? Is there a moment that you can look back to and say that was the moment when you became boss?
I landed an extremely large government contract.
Okay.
And for the state of Florida. And I remember thinking, okay, now I'm finding my stride, right? But on the daily, I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing things better. There's so much more to learn. And that's why I think it's extremely important to put solid mentors, people that I can go to and say, oh, what have I done? You know, or how do I maneuver through this situation? And I will reference several people, because you have to have people that have done it before, you know, because how else are you gonna, it's the fastest way to get to where you're going, you know, is ask somebody that's already been there.
You've been featured in a variety of places. I'm gonna read some of this off. ESPN.com. I love the articles that they did there. It was well done. USA Today, the Chicago Journal, Vince Magazine. You participated in a lot of podcast interviews, a lot of different things. I called you a pro when you walked in earlier. I was like, hey, she knows what's up. Was there a publication or a podcast or an interview where you kind of, like you just talked about with a big contract, was there one of these interviews or articles where you went, okay, all right, now it's for real, or that really got your attention or wowed you? Was there a moment like that?
Yeah, when ESPN called me.
Yeah.
When ESPN called me to comment on a player that I was working with and told me, I didn't realize that I was trending on Twitter. I was trending on Twitter because the player Mekhi Becton had come off so much weight, and everybody wanted to know how he lost the weight. Wow. And that was an aha moment for me. It felt really good, you know, because not only was I helping him become more successful, but I thought, okay, other people know my name. I don't know, there's a close tie with when I got the call from a trainer who asked me to work with Evander Holyfield.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So growing up, you know, my dad was, I would say he was the armchair boxing champion of at least cross gates, right? And so, you know, my dad could really put on a show sitting in the chair watching boxing. He watched a lot of boxing. So growing up with seeing Evander on TV and, you know, what a big celebrity that was. For me to get that call to work with him, that was just the highlight of my career. And I will say Evander was a dream to work with.
Now I'm jealous.
He's a great man, and he was and such a legend, and humble, so very humble.
One of my all-time favorite boxers, without a doubt. That's amazing. Evander Holyfield, legend. So Vince Magazine, I referenced him just a minute ago, so I'm going to quote them here. And I love this quote describing you. She has a huge list of celebrity clients, including Super Bowl champions, a slew of NFL players, a two-time boxing heavyweight champion, just mentioned him, several Major League Baseball players, an Emmy winner, an Oscar recipient, amongst other A-list celebrities, multiple high-profile lawyers, C-suite executives, and a few noteworthy politicians. That's an impressive clientele. So when you hear that now, sitting here with an old classmate in Brandon, and you look at where you've come from, what goes through your mind when you hear all of that now?
I mean, it's a little humbling. I mean, to be honest, because I don't necessarily keep score like that. But I love it. I love that I have these opportunities. I'm so thankful for it, truly. But honestly, some of the best work that I've done has been with nobody you know. We've helped them create lifestyle changes. They're living healthier, happier lives. And that to me is just as rewarding as, some of the other. Although it is really neat to go to the movies and be like, I built that body. That's fun.
So you and I talked a little bit about this, and if you don't feel comfortable answering, I totally understand. It is a list of clients that is a little shrouded in anonymity. So who are some of the clients that you mentioned? Evander. Who are some of the other clients that you can mention that people will go, oh, okay?
Yeah. So I will tell you one of my Mississippi favorites is A.J. Brown.
Right, yeah.
And played for Ole Miss. Now he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's one of the greatest guys I've worked with. He's just super, super sweet, extremely humble. Love working with him. I also love to work with anyone from Mississippi, and we get quite a few. I always say, they come out of Moss Point. I don't know what they're putting in the water in Moss Point, but if you want them to be a pro athlete, you must raise them there. I try to not name drop as much because I want my clients to feel safe working with me, that I'm not going to put all their business out there. I will, like, people that have posted about me, once they post about me, then I'll say something about it. But we have Karen Gillian, who I always refer to Karen as she's the hot redhead in Jumanji. So she also is in some Marvel movies and stuff like that. So these are people that have trusted me with their health, and so I truly think that being more quiet about it gives them a safer space, if that makes any sense.
It does. AJ just signed a big contract not too long ago.
He deserves it
too. So he needs to take you to lunch or something, right?
He
can
pays
afford
me
it.
well.
Okay,
He pays me
there
well.
you go. That's all that matters, right? Yeah. What is the biggest obstacle that you face when you're working with professional athletes? What's the biggest obstacle that
communication?
Really?
They're being pulled in a million different directions. Their schedules are crazy. And so getting a piece of their time is so that I can get the information that I need, because really what we try to do is be so far behind the scenes that they never really see all the moving parts. They just open up the refrigerator and their food is there, or their chef has their food ready for them, or whatever the case is. I don't want them to have to think about what I'm doing, but to be able to communicate with them and get a moment of their time, whether it's the professional athlete or the super busy, CEO. I mean, time is money. And so I try to take as little of their time as possible, but that's my biggest challenge. That, and then when it's athletes and they're young, so you got to think these guys, some of them are still teenagers, right? I mean, they're just in their early 20s, and now they just got paid $30 million. And so they're out there trying to live their best life, and I have to rein them back in. And sometimes I forget they're still kids. You have to eat your vegetables. I forget, because they take on so much responsibility that you forget their age sometimes.
I don't know. I almost didn't ask this, but I'm like, I have to ask Ann. I think she'd feel comfortable with this. Do you feel like your journey could be seen as a positive development for? There's so many women that we have women that will watch this show, women who have faced barriers, proving themselves. Maybe they've been hesitant to pursue their dreams, their goals, whatever it is, in maybe a field like you're in that's historically been male dominated. Do you feel like your story could provide motivation or inspiration to anyone that's watching that might be on the verge of going after it like you did? Do you think it's a victory for women, your story?
I think any success for women could be inspirational. I think it's very important to know, and we've talked about this off camera before, we're like, I wasn't the super popular kid. I didn't feel like I fit in. I definitely faced some challenges, a lot of obstacles I had put in my own path, right? And I think it's important to see that you can make whatever you want for your life. It's definitely up to you. And you're gonna face challenges, and I think that it's still, being a businesswoman is still a different challenge than it is a businessman. And I think that it's important that we have other businesswomen that we can look up to and ask, for their experiences. So I think it's important for us to talk about the pitfalls just as much as it is the successes. As a businesswoman working in a male-dominated field, you can imagine like there are situations that I've had to run across that I can't ask another businessman, hey, how do you deal with this guy sexually harassing you? You know, and you kind of have to figure it out. And the best thing that I've found is you stick to your guns and you remind people that you're about business and stand on your business.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Harvested in June and July, Mississippi-grown sweet corn arrives just in time for your cookout or outdoor get-together. But you better be quick. Once Mississippi-grown sweet corn appears on your local farmers market shelves, it disappears just as fast. There are so many ways to cook and eat Mississippi-grown sweet corn, but of course our favorite is corn on the cob.
Sweet corn, just one of the many foods the Mississippi farmer grows for you, the farm families of Mississippi.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
The internet can be a dangerous place. With Connect and Protect from C Spire, you get the phone you want, and you get the tools to easily track her location, restrict content, and help protect her at any age. It's like a digital mom arm.
A what?
That thing moms do.
I'm not following.
How do I put this? Look out!
Oh, mom arm. Got it. Yeah.
Introducing Connect and Protect from C Spire. Only $30 a month with free guided setup. Customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Hi, I'm Erica Bedwell, the Director of Rehab at Covington County Hospital. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services says you have a right to choose the swing bed program that's right for your loved ones. Our patients experience a comforting, supportive, and healing environment in large private rooms. Our swing bed staff is highly skilled and includes board-certified physicians, practitioners, and experienced nursing staff, all working alongside physical, occupational, and speech therapist staff to return your loved ones to the quality of life they deserve.
All right, so let's go behind the curtain just a little bit.
Okay.
What is no day is the same, but what is a typical day like for Ann Claiborne, the professional? What's a typical day like?
So I like to get up really early because I need me time. I have to be caffeinated before I can function. And so I journal. I wake up and I journal for, even if it's only 5 minutes, because it helps me set the tone for the day. And then I jump straight into Zoom calls. We have Zoom meetings. So my staff is throughout the United States. We have to do that strategically because dietitians have to be registered in the state that your client is in. So we have dietitians all over, nutritionists, my CEO's in New York. So we have a Zoom meeting. It's kind of like our team huddle. And then we get started fielding phone calls with clients. And that goes on all day. Our job is definitely not a 9 to 5 because when the client needs something, we go. And so sometimes, like one of my actresses was in Australia. So it's 3 a.m. I'm fielding phone call. It sometimes doesn't stop. But I love it, and we've gotten into corporate wellness. And so we're really starting to dig into that world and figure out how we can improve business people's lives. So we've been doing a lot of research on that. I go to the gym every day, 7 days a week. I don't necessarily lift all 7 days, but I've made it my habit because sometimes that is the only time that I stop working. So the gym time is my time. So I put on my AirPods, go to the gym and work out. And then, that's it. I work a lot. I have a very limited social life, but I like it that way. Like I love what I do. And so I do work a little too much. But I never miss a gym, so.
Yeah, leading up to today, the off-camera conversations, it seemed like there's always something going on. Like you always are doing something.
Yeah,
and
I
no matter
travel
when
a
I talk
lot
to
to
you.
get to clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's on the playlist when you go work out? I'm just curious. What's on the playlist?
You're
can
gonna
say.
laugh.
No.
Hardcore gangster rap. The harder, the more brutal, the better.
Not laughing at all. You and the Southern Miss athletic director Jeremy McLean would get along very well.
People are always surprised with my playlist, but
yeah, his is old school gangster rap, no doubt. So gangster rap, okay. So take me transition from being Southern girl from Clarksdale, Mississippi. You just mentioned being literally all over the country, sometimes all over the world. Do you ever see your Mississippi accent slip in sometimes?
yeah, I'm in it right now because I'm home.
Yeah.
If I get on the phone with my sister, but especially if I get on the phone with my father, it gets really deep. I mean, but I learned early in my military career to be able to turn it on and turn it off because people would judge me. I'm a blonde with a Southern accent. They would assume that I wasn't very smart.
Wow.
And so, plus, I think that in business, and I try and teach my employees this as well, mirroring is a great tool for business. So if I'm speaking to someone that isn't from the South, I will definitely drop the Southern accent and try and mirror what their personality, because I can get further. It's like the birds of a feather, right? Now, if I need to get something done and I get on the phone and someone has a deep Southern accent, I will kick it in hardcore and get what I want really quickly.
So I'm going to switch it up on you even more. So when you are home and you're not traveling and you're not sitting down with goofball classmates like me doing interviews, what are you like at home? What is your go-to to wind down, chill out, phones off? I know you work all the time, but when you do have those pockets when you like to just chill out, like what do you like at home?
I love to play golf.
Really?
Yeah. I love to play golf. I play a little tennis. Not great at it. Not great at either of them, but I love it. And I love to connect with my inner circle. People usually fill my cup. So, and a lot of my really good friends are still here in Mississippi, and so I will come home or get on the phone with them and just connect. Just plug back into my people. And I love to work with my nonprofit, which is Feeding America's Backpack Program. It's very near and dear to my heart. Like, if I think about it too much, I'll get upset about these children that don't have food outside of school. And so I love to do things to help that program.
So we kind of touched on your playlist earlier when you work out. So I love asking this question.
Okay.
If we get in the car right now and we're riding to the village, I was going to try to get a laugh out of you.
Yeah, the village.
You go
Let's
to the
take it way
village.
back.
Let's
We're going to
take
go
it
to
way
Village
back.
Teas.
We're going to go to the village right now. And we get in your car. What's coming on? What are we listening to? Is it a podcast? Is it music?
I do listen to a lot. Funny thing is, truly, when I go to the gym, it is gangster rap or it's Audibles. Like Audible podcast, like not podcasts, but like books. That's a time because when I'm listening to a book, I'm not paying attention to everything else around me. So then I can just focus on my workout. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks in my car. But I will still listen to some country music in my car. I think it makes for great driving music.
Is that the guilty pleasure, or is there another guilty pleasure music?
Music, like I like Amos Lee. I don't know if you know who that is. I just like, it's kind of like chill beach music.
Yeah. Okay.
I love all music. Yeah, I really do love all music, and I think that part of that is from being raised in Mississippi, where we have I love blues music. I mean, I just think that we're so blessed to be surrounded with so much great music, being from Mississippi, that I was exposed to a lot.
What's the last book you read cover to cover?
Ooh, lots. Lots. I love to read, which is so funny because I hated reading when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah. I've read Atomic Habits now 3 or 4 times. They're usually business books, things like that, because I can read something one time and apply, and then you're kind of taking mental note of these other things that don't really apply to you right now, but you might need later on. And so then I'll go back. But outside of like business and self-help, I really don't read any other books. I don't read for entertainment purposes like that.
Trying to feed your brain.
Yeah.
Audiobooks.
I want to know
reading.
more. Yeah, I want to know more. I want to better understand business. I want to better understand people, and sometimes even how I can improve in my personal life, how I can show up better for the people that I love.
So you've conquered so much.
So much left to do.
Sure. So to that end, this is broad, but what is next for CCN? What would you like to see you guys conquer or dive into next?
Well, actually, so I have a company. It's called Firmwell, and we're corporate wellness. And so right now our focus is large law firms. We do corporate wellness for law firms, and then I want to move into the banking. These are people that are very busy, very driven, and if we can help improve their health, their nutrition, but also the work environment, I love doing that. So corporate wellness on a large scale, that's my next move.
As a proud mother, business owner, and an entrepreneur, you embody this drive and determination that really, I think, kind of embodies, I don't want to mess up the motto, excellence in everything you do. So kindly share with us like what this motto means to you.
Excellence in everything we do is such an important statement that I share with my staff and I remind myself daily, because it's not about perfection. It's just we're going to do the very best that we can do in every moment. It's the same old adage as, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I don't care how small the task, make it the best that you can be at it. And I think that it's building blocks, right? If I do this really well and I do this really well, then I'm going to get higher.
I love that.
Thanks.
I told you in various conversations, you need to start keeping up with these sayings that you come up with. We can make a whole book out of some of these. I'm not even kidding. So to the individuals at various stages in life, the little girl, the young lady, the single mom, the woman who might be watching, she's going through a late life reinvention. What would be your message to those people?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
It starts with your inner belief. Once I realized, yes, I can, then there's nothing stopping you, because then it's just a matter of how.
Gosh, I love that.
Thanks.
Final question for you. I thought about this one for a while. If you could go back and have a conversation with 21-year-old Ann Claiborne, what would that conversation entail?
Level up. Level up, for sure.
Meaning?
I think that I had put parameters on myself. I wasn't dreaming big enough. I was afraid to dream big enough. And so just giving myself permission to be great. But in giving yourself permission to be great, I had to give myself permission to fail.
I love that. That's a great way to end the interview. I want to tell you, first of all, thank you for your service to your country. Thank you for your friendship after all these years. And look, I know your schedule is insanely hectic. Thank you for taking time to do this with us.
I really do appreciate it.
And I hope this helps. So look forward to seeing your success down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Last looks.
I told you she's a pro.
Set on a lot of sets.
I've just always been like, where's the red dot? Let's go.
Some people have that gift.
You're looking at two of the most accomplished Brandon High School grads, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of Audibles with Jason Scarborough.